Hey everyone, Jim Coventry from RotoWire here. Got a couple of errors I'm trying to clean up here on the stream business. All right, looks like RotoWire NFL is not working. Easy enough. All right. All right. Sorry, guys. Thanks for hanging with me here. Welcome, everybody. Week 6. I'm here till 1 hour before kickoff. I have another show I have to do, but glad to see everybody. The last 2 weeks, we were on Saturday because of the England games. And anytime we have an England game, we will be on Saturdays, same time as opposed to Sundays. But like I said, we're Sunday. We're here. We're happy we're here, and we are good to go. All right. So let's start taking some questions here. And again, if you hit the like button, would really appreciate. Subscribe button would be great as well if you like our content. And let's get rolling here with Eric. Do you give up on Juju Smith-Schuster and go with Alec Pierce? So Juju's getting 8 targets a game. He's not doing a lot with them. He's giving you a floor. In this offense, I don't know that it's going to get significantly better. I don't think it's a matter of him not learning the offense. I think he's fine, but he looks like he's covered all the time. And that's the problem. And so realistically, he's catching and falling, and he's not really getting open. So Alec Pierce had 60 yards or more in the last 3 games. I think he has more. Pierce is more upside. So I think Smith-Schuster ultimately has a good floor, but I couldn't fault you for making that move. Could Smith-Schuster come on as the season goes on? Yes. There's nothing I've seen that makes me think that'll happen. Got an instant question here. Deon Jackson. So, yeah, Deon Jackson against Jacksonville, he should get some 10 to 12 carries, should get you around 50 yards, got a chance to work there. So you got that. And then, so yeah, he's definitely a player to look at. Got some Instagram pouring in. I'll get back to YouTube, Twitter in a second. OBJ, he probably won't be into like late November or December. By then, your fantasy playoffs are going. But if in most leagues you can't IR him, he's not listed as out. But if you can IR him. You can't waste a roster spot with the bye weeks coming up on him. All right, let's see what else we got here. We got Bialy, need a tight end. Henry, Disley, Cox, Fant, Tunyon, Conklin. Yeah, I don't like since Zach Wilson took over, Conklin isn't seeing quite the same volume he saw, but he is a reasonable play this week. Tunyon, his targets and snaps are lower than I'd like. Fant and Disley, the problem is they're sharing work. Disley's TD dependent. Neither on their own are good. Henry may not be a bad play this week. We saw last week they had to go to him a bit. And I think in this matchup against Cleveland, I think there will be some opportunity off play action to get some things going. Mo Ellie Cox, they use 3 tight ends, and you never know which is going to see the targets. I think of all of them, Henry is the one that I would probably recommend. Gage over London today. I don't trust Gage right now. They said he's healthy. London, on the other hand, San Francisco down a corner. Emmanuel Mosley's out. They still have Charvarius Ward, which helps them a bit. But I think I still think London is going to get targets, whereas I think Brady's going to be able to have Godwin and Evans easily open all day. So I think he ends up going to them a lot. All right, let's a couple other instant questions. Nate, what's going on, man? Singletary, I got to say Singletary, higher volume game. We never know what his role is going to be, but he's had a solid floor of touches. And my guess is they score 30-plus points, and I think we take that. Whereas Indy was blank the last time they played Jacksonville, and that was with Jonathan Taylor. So I have to say Singletary beat a play there. And then Coach Amador's got trade Dylan McKenzie for Deontay Johnson. Cook, since you have 3 good running backs and you have depth there, I would make that trade because I think Deontay will have volume for you, and that's the thing. Volume will be there. He'll be a floor play, not a great ceiling play, but it'll be a steady running wide receiver 3, possibly a 2 in PPR leagues. All right, see what we got here. Kavan, Pickens, Duvernay, or Dion Jackson. I really don't like Pickens' matchup. The outside corners, both of them, Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean, are very strong options, and there will be blitzing in a pass rush. Of the receivers in Pittsburgh, he has the worst matchup of the 3. But Duvernay's in a great spot here because I expect the Giants, Wink Martindale's their defensive coordinator, I expect he blitzes and plays some cover 0. There's going to be one-on-one matchups, and with no Rashad Bateman, I think there's a big play waiting to happen here. Deon Jackson of the 3, I think he has the safest floor, but I don't think he has much of a ceiling because we'll see Philip Lindsay involved. So Duvernay is my slight pick over Pickens. Pickens is a great talent. He could come up with something. So I think he's your volatile play. He could do very little, but he could get a big play. So, and I think, but otherwise Duvernay to me in this matchup, he's the most stable. And I hate to call Duvernay stable because he's not, but in this matchup, he is. All right, let's see what else we got here. Fishtail, which one would I bench? ETN, Dillon, or Najee? hate to say it, but Najee right now, because Jalen Warren got snaps significant, and Tomlin said he's going to keep seeing snaps. And so I don't know that Najee is keeping his status. So right now, I think he has the most volatile role. So I'm sitting him. It's a great question. All right, let's see here. We've got B. Ollie. You need 2 out of this group. Slayton, Zay Jones, Cobb, A.J. Green, Callaway, Richie James, and Gage. I like Callaway this week because they had the top 3 receivers are out. They're going to have to throw the ball. I know since he's a top 3 pass defense, but if they get in the red zone, Callaway and jump balls. But I think Callaway, they're going to trail, I think. So Callaway's going to probably get 7 or 8 targets. So I do like Callaway here. And, Zay Jones, I get it. Up and down, but no Marvin Jones this week. So to me, I think those 2 are the best plays because Zay Jones should get 7 or 8 targets. And Indy's corners don't scare me. So those are the 2 I would roll with. Christopher, you have Higbee or Taysom Hill. Real simple. Higbee has a strong floor. He's going to probably catch 5 to 8 passes. And so there's a stable floor. Taysom Hill, we see it already. He has a couple games with great upside. He's your swing for defense play. We have to hope they game plan him. And Cincinnati's one of the better defenses they're facing. And so there's that. So I think that Hill is your swing for defense guy. His floor is always going to be like 3 points. But his ceiling is great because of his role. So Higbee is way more stable. So if you need, PPR, like 12 points, Higbee is your guy. If you really need to swing for defense, it's Hill because again, it's a real volatile coming up that huge week. The defense is clearly on note in Cincinnati what he did. So it's like, all right, they got a game plan for him, right? Henry, trade Diggs for Chase and Higgins. I would. I think that especially when they get into the bye week, since he's going to figure some things out, they started to figure him out last week. That the production wasn't there, but the play calling wasn't as predictable. I think they're headed in the right direction. I think that offensive line is going to gel. It's going to take some more time. I think long term, that's a better trade for you. All right, let's see what else we got here. We have got, and I'm here only till 1 hour before kickoff today, Murray or Lamar. I got to go with Murray's in a great matchup, and he can go off. Lamar is facing the Giants, and the Giants, Wink Martindale's their coach. He understands Lamar. They're probably going to pressure the heck out of him, but I think the problem is they don't have the horses to cover. And I think Lamar shreds them today. So I think Lamar has at least the floor Murray has, but Lamar has a way bigger ceiling. Both are great plays this week. You can't go wrong. Gut feel, go with it. Carl, hey, good to say. Thanks for saying hi. All right, let's see what else we got here. Johnny. Edwards-Helaire, Juju, Pickens, Deon Jackson. I got to go with CEH. His game is probably going to be super high scoring. Juju hasn't had much of a ceiling. Deon Jackson, he's going to get some carries. I don't think he has a ceiling. Pickens is facing those outside corners, Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, and the blitz. So CEH is your floor play. But if you need to swing for defense, even despite the bad matchup, maybe Pickens breaks a long play. I still say CEH, but I think Pickens has the volatility where if you're willing to risk that, you go that route. And see what else we got here. Higgins, if he plays. Higgins, you know what? It's impossible to know if he'll be a decoy since he doesn't seem like the team that'll activate him and decoy him. They could have decoyed him last week when he was unhealthy with the ankle. They could have put him on the field and just kind of had him run shallow routes. They didn't. So if Higgins plays, I think you got to roll with him. And Marshawn Lattimore is out. Paulson Adebo's less than 100%, their other corner. So I think you go with Higgins, but Njoku clearly has a strong floor. But we know Higgins, if he's on the field, Higgins can erupt. Johnny, you got Hunt, Zeke, Jackson. Zeke's going to be heavily involved. Philly's one area where they're not dominant is on the ground. They're not terrible, but they're attackable. And Dallas will attack them on the ground. So I like Zeke there. Hunt has that locked-in role where he's like 45 to 70 yards. And I tell you what, New England is really going to be selling out to stop Nick Chubb today. And I think the change of pace hitter, that's where we could see some explosive runs. When you have a different type of back coming against a team that's selling out, I like that. Deon Jackson, again, Philip Lindsay's going to be in the mix as well. So he's a rotational as well. If they trail, Lindsay may be in more. I'm just going to roll Hunt and Zeke there. But I think I'm going to roll with that one. Okay, we got that one already. And we got the next one here. G2 Matari, Tani, there we go. Bench Singletary, Wilson, or Ken Walker. Ouch, you're in a rough spot. You got great choices, 3 great choices. Wilson's had at least 74 yards in the last 4 games, at least 100 yards combined in 3 of the last 4. The matchup is great. They could play with a lead. Hard to bench Wilson for his floor-ceiling combo. Ken Walker is an amazing matchup. Singletary, we never know what we're going to get. He could go off, but he could also get you 6 fantasy points. I think based on the Walker and Wilson usage, which should be premium, I think they're both have bankable floors, and I think they both have reasonable ceilings, so I think we go that route. Giles, Drake London, or George Pickens. I think Drake London is safer this week. He should see a lot of Charvarius Ward, which I don't like, but I'm sure he's not. I'm not sure. It's likely Ward does play sides and he doesn't travel. So Emmanuel Mosley on the other side is out. So London could get favorable matchups half of the time. Pickens is facing a devastating set of corners and a blitz. So I think London is your safe play. I think if you need to take a chance for a low score or a huge play to get to the boom, then Pickens is your boom bust play. But I think Drake London is a stable play because, again, I think he avoids Ward close to half the time. And, oh, man, I didn't want that to go off. Got to relog that in. Give me 1 second. Okay. Try to keep the other screen open. All right. King D, Higgins or Myers. If Higgins is active, we're both less than 100%. Myers has a knee. Higgins has an ankle. If they're both active in that case, you go with Higgins. You go with the elite player. Myers been playing at a great level too, but they're both less than 100%. So give me the better player when they're both less than 100%. Jordan, you need a flex and a receiver. Taysom, Kareem Hunt, Christian Kirk, Devontae Smith, Isaiah McKenzie. So Devontae Smith has actually been quite good. The matchup here is brutal. And, people are talking about Trevon Diggs shadowing A.J. Brown. I don't see it. I think A.J. Brown, when he's in the slot, Diggs ain't following him there. And Devontae Smith's going to see a lot of that. The pass rush for Dallas is going to be a problem. I think it's a high-volume running game. I think Smith still has boom-bust volatility because he's very good. He's been making plays, and there could be big plays in the passing game that Philly line could hold up against the Dallas Passers because they are an elite line. So I think that said, Taysom Hill, again, very volatile. He's not going to catch the Bengals by surprise after his huge game last week. So I think they game plan for him. I think that could be problematic. Kirk hasn't done anything in a couple of weeks. McKenzie, I'm not sure. He tends to have his role against slower defenses. He's a game plan specific. So all these said, Hunt is a safe floor play. And Devontae Smith, I think, of those, is probably your better floor play. Those are 2 best floor plays. I think that's what I'm gonna recommend those. In terms of ceiling, I don't think I play Hill over them. If you want a swing for defense, I would play Hill over Hunt. Hunt is much more stable. So Hunt and Devontae Smith. Christian Kirk, we just got to see. I don't know the middle of the field is going to be easily attackable against Indy. The outs, I think, are more vulnerable. All right, Johnny, you got Kirk, Pickens, or Juju. Need one. Juju has basically been a floor play, but not a high ceiling at all. He's getting 8 targets a game. Pickens, like I said, if you heard me mention a few times, I don't like his matchup against Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis and the blitz. That's going to probably limit things. Kirk's been struggling. I think Kirk right now, until he gets back on in things, him and Juju are pretty equivalent. So I'm going to say Pickens is your boom bust play if you're going to risk a low floor, but he could have that big play for ceiling. I think Juju's your floor play out of those 3. All right, let's see what else we got here. Carl's got Higgins, or I think I answered that when I said Higgins if he's active, and that's because you got to play him if he's active. Deshaun Watson worth a stash. If you have the bye weeks are coming up now, and injuries are going to be there. If you stash him and you're able to withstand, because a lot of people got to drop players. We think it's a good idea, but then all of a sudden we get 2 players hurt, and then there's a bye week when we're missing 3 players, and all of a sudden we got to dump them back. Then other people are like, oh, I'm going to pick him up. So that's the answer is yes, he's a stash, but the answer is can you stash him? That's the whole thing. And then you have Higgins and then Carl. All right, guys. Yeah, I got that question a couple of times. Please ask a question once. I'll get to you. But I've got Twitter and YouTube. That's the primary bulk of the questions for Twitter and YouTube. And then I do get questions also on Insta. So I'm going to try to keep up with all the best I can. All right. Laura and Jim Cooperman, you got a running back and a flex. Boone, Latavius, Deon Jackson, Ayuk, or Cobb. So, with Ayuk, it's always tough. He has a floor. They don't throw enough. And his cornerback matchup, he could see a lot of A.J. Terrell. But the way that offense is schemed, I don't think I'm overly crazy worried about it. I think in Cobb's 13 targets last week, that was an anomaly. He normally sees 3 to 5. And so I think that was just one of those things. Deon Jackson has a decent floor. Look, in terms of Boone and Latavius Murray, I think Boone's clearly number 2. Latavius was washed last year. He had a good game at New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. Fine, so what? I think Latavius Murray is not a factor, but I'm guessing at that. I have no way of proving that, but Boone played well in his opportunity. They signed him as a free agent last year because they liked him. And so for me, it would be Boone and Ayuk. But if you're worried about Boone or Latavius and not sure, and you're really worried that Latavius might be a thing, which I guess he could, then I would go Deon Jackson. I would leave Cobb out of this one, I think. All right, and then Kyler or Herbert. I got to go Kyler here. Denver is a very, very good pass defense. We're going to see Patrick Surtain probably most of the time on Mike Williams. That's a bad matchup. Keenan Allen's out again. Justin Herbert, maybe one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He may be right there with Mahomes. But Kyler Murray's got a great matchup here, and I don't know how they don't pass rush. They can't cover. I assume they get him on track here. So that's what I think we're going to look at. All right, let's see. We got another Jason. You got Zeke, Pollard, Dillon, or Deon Jackson need one. So, it's funny. I had Zeke and Pollard. I know Zeke's going to have the guaranteed workload. When you're playing Pollard, you're hoping he has an explosive. When he gets the explosive, it pays off. And he always could get that. But predicting the explosive play is really difficult. Dillon has been okay. He hasn't been great, and that's been the problem. And so the upside he hasn't scored in 4 games, and Green Bay's playing the Jets. The Jets have been a top 10 run D. Don't know where that came from, but they've been very good. I think Zeke is your safest play here. I think, though, that there is a world where Dillon could have upside, but I'm not willing to bet on it. So I'm going to say Zeke is safe. Take the safe play here because I can't reliably say any one of them is going to have a big game based on matchup and current situation. And then Delroy has Kamara or but we got to go Kamara. All the pass receivers are out. Like the top 3 are all out. I have to think he's more heavily involved in the screen game here. Cincinnati is a very good defense. Dobbins got to him last week. I think that Kamara is going to be fine here. Benjamin is a great play as well. But here's the thing. You can run on Seattle. You can pass on Seattle. They can't rush the passer. If I'm coaching a team, which I'm not, I'm going in and getting Kyler on track because Kyler has not been I get he's put up some fantasy points. He has not been good in 4 weeks. They need to get him right. This is a get right spot. I don't think they go in saying we got to get Benjamin going. I think they go into this game saying we get Kyler Murray going. And with Kamara being your other option, to me, it's Kamara. Christopher Fields with Henry on bye. Started Breece Hall. Oh, you got options. Kenneth Walker. You know what? It's got to be Breece Hall. Breece Hall is already shown he's an amazing player. He's in the run and the pass game, so he's game script proof. They're playing Green Bay. It's a bottom 3 run defense, and the Jets are probably, despite the point spread, hanging in this game. To me, and I get playing Kenneth Walker. He has a great matchup as well, but Walker had the great long run last week. But Breece Hall is like a superstar already. And so at this point, I have Breece Hall as my number 6 running back this week. So, and I'm not even blinking. So to me, it's going to be Breece Hall. It's a great question. All right, let's see what we got here. Ethan, Russ, or Lawrence? Got to go Lawrence. I don't trust Russ. And here's the thing. Russ is facing Brandon Staley. He's the coach 2 years ago that figured Russ out. The let Russ cook season, who was the guy who shut him down? Brandon Staley. And when they played later, Brandon Staley. Staley knows exactly what Russ wants to do. He's the one that put the shell up over him too high and basically forces Wilson to be a quarterback, to take the long, methodical drives. That's not Wilson's game. So to me, Russ may not throw a touchdown. Lawrence may only get you 230, but I think he gets you 2 touchdowns here. So I'm going to say that. Bear, you have Tevin Coleman. Ty Davis Price is going to be active, so Coleman may not see much. Darrell Henderson, Isaiah McKenzie on your bench. Deon Jackson, Fletch, Kirk's as a receiver. Should you swap any of the players? I do think Malcolm Brown's going to be involved, but I think Henderson is going to see increased work from what he had. So I think Henderson is a decent. I would play Henderson over Deon Jackson because Deon Jackson's splitting with Lindsay, but I think that Darrell Henderson is going to see targets, and I think ultimately I think against Carolina, which is a middling matchup, I think Darrell Henderson gets enough done here. Deon Jackson is risky because I don't quite know how much Lindsay's going to be about. It could be a hot hand approach. Jacksonville destroyed them last time they played, shut them out. So we got a little bit of an issue with that. I do think, and then Christian Kirk right now, based on the other options, I'm going to keep Christian Kirk in there. All right, let's see what we got here. Ken Walker, Eno, or Darrell Henderson. So this is what I'm going to defer to the talent. Walker and Eno both have amazing matchups against each other, right? The same teams. So I'm going to say Ken Walker, now in a lead role, is a potentially very good player, drafted high in the NFL draft, showed last week some signs. Eno, I think it's going to be Pat. I think they're going to get Russ. They're going to get Kyler on track in this game. And I think Eno gets his carries and does okay. But I think Walker has a better chance of coming up with big plays. I'm going to go with Walker here. All right, John. You need a running back, not PPR. Gainwell, Travis. Gainwell's not getting any work. So we're going to be ETN and 90% to 10. Gainwell's just not getting work. I have cut Gainwell in the league. I'm in deeper leagues. I've even cut him in deeper leagues because I need an injury. And even then, if we get an injury, maybe Boston Scott's going to be ahead of him. So, yeah, right now I would consider checking the waiver wire. But, yeah, you got to go ETN there. All right, let's see what we got here. Henderson or James Robinson? Good question. Indy is a dynamite run defense. They're outstanding against the run. This does not profile well for Robinson. ETN is a more receiving option, probably better there. This one, but so I'm going to say Darrell Henderson here because Robinson's matchup is bad. Can Robinson make a play and score a goal line touchdown? Yes. So here's your point. Robinson, I think, is boom bust. Could he get 2 goal line touchdowns? Yes, he could. So I think there's the upside play, but I think his floor is really low here because I think ETN's becoming a thing. But I think Henderson is your stable play. So in a middling matchup, and I think he sees targets. So I think you look at that as well. All right, and guys and gals, I'm here till the top of the hour. I'm at 40 more minutes. I have another show I'm doing on the Better Sports Network, so I'm going to take that one as well. I'm going to check for inactives. It's a little early. See if anybody else. All right, nothing new. About 10 minutes till inactives start coming out. All right, let's get to the next question here. Conklin or Ingram? Conklin's seen a little bit of reduction in volume since Zach Wilson took over. That does not make me happy. I love Tyler Conklin, excellent player. But I'm going to say Ingram here. Ingram played Indy in week 2, 7 catches. He had 10 targets last week. Ingram's a part of the passing game. I think Ingram has a better floor here, and I think they both have similar ceilings. All right, King, you've got Ayuk or Slayton. So Slayton benefited last week from playing a Green Bay defense that is very, very passive in their zones until the ball gets in the red zone. So he took great advantage of it and did very, very well. Wanda Robinson is supposed to play today. And I would think Wondale Robinson becomes more of a thing. And Marcus Johnson, was also involved, and he may see. I think Ayuk has a tough corner matchup with A.J. Terrell, who you may see quite a bit. I'm going to defer to the talent here because Ayuk can make a play, and he's had a floor. Whereas Slayton, his floor to me is 0. At any point, he could get benched, especially if Wandale's doing okay. And if 2 receiver sets, they go Wandale and Wandale and Marcus Johnson, which is possible, then Slayton may be the odd man out. So I would go Ayuk, but I think I'm just going to say that because I think Slayton theoretically has upside. He can make big plays. So I think if you risk a really low floor for a higher ceiling, it might be there. Ayuk hasn't shown us a ceiling this year. I still prefer Ayuk just because I feel safer with him. And again, I don't think that Terrell's going to shadow him. I think it's going to be like Ayuk when he's on the opposite side of the field, is going to draw a different corner and have a big advantage. Rodney, Duvernay, Thielen, or Dubs in the flex with Lamar Jackson, a quarterback. So Romeo Dobbs, they're playing the Jets. So, but I don't think Sauce Gardner's going to shadow him. I think Lazard's going to, be on a side. Lazard's there as well. And I think there's going to be play action opportunities here. Duvernay's in a great spot here, though, because I think the Giants are going to do a lot of blitzing and they're going to do some cover 0 stuff. And I think Duvernay can make a big play. But of the 3, I think Thielen is your floor play. Miami's been very bad against receivers. They run one of the highest blitz rates in the league. Cousins has been bad against the blitz, but I think his one thing he's going to have is the reliability of the short route running that Thielen has, especially when there's extra attention on Jefferson. The blitz may force him into that quick read. So I think Thielen has the best floor. And you know what? I love Dobbs. But I think Duvernay may have more of a higher ceiling this week. So I'd go with Thielen. But if you want to swing for defense, Duvernay could get like 2 big plays here because I think the Giants are going to sell out to blitz. I think that could be a problem. All right. See if I have any other Insta questions here. Dobbs or Pierce, standard league. So Pierce is your floor guy this week. He's at 60 yards in 3 straight games, and I think he maintains that. Dobbs is more likely to score a touchdown, and he could get a big play because play action. And again, I think with the cornerback matchup, I don't think Sauce Gardner's on him like full time. I think it's going to be based on sides. So Dobbs is your boom bust play. And he does have ceiling, but he has floor. But Pierce is your more stable option. Robert, all right, man. What do you got? Rashad White on waivers. Do you cut Boone or Madison for him? Half PPR. White is seeing 39 to 38 snap share in last week. His touches have been 8 each week. It's getting stable. I think his workload is better than Madison's right now. And in that offense, that means, and I think Leonard Fournette is more likely to break down than Dalvin Cook because the workload they're giving Fournette is insane right now. So honestly, I might go White over Madison. Now, understand either way. If the starting running back goes out, be it Dalvin Cook or Leonard Fournette, then that player becomes more valuable. That's a risk you're taking. Boone, I think Boone is going to see a good percentage of the work. That's my opinion. I think he's an explosive player. Denver signed him for a reason last year. And I do think Boone could be a thing. And I think he can overtake Melvin Gordon, who's starting to look like an aging back. So personally, my team, I'm dropping Madison for Rashad White because even though Madison's getting 40% of the snaps, the touches haven't been high. And that's the way I'm going to go on that. Uncle Santini, Conklin, or Disley. Disley is really TD dependent. He's splitting targets with Noah Fant. He's on the field. He blocks up, but he's very good in the red zone. So he's TD dependent. Conklin, the volume hasn't been the same with Zach Wilson, but I think he still has a floor. And I think so. Conklin's your floor play. She should get you 7 to 8 PPR points. Disley can get you a 2, but Disley can get you a 15 by getting a long touchdown, which he will get because they sneak him out in the pattern. And Arizona's not good against tight ends. So Conklin's your safe play. Disley's your boom bust play. David, you've got on Insta, you got Amari Cooper or Gabe. Oh, that's a good problem to have, right? Look, I think Gabe Davis was limited by an ankle in the games he didn't do well. I believe he is the clear number 2 in that offense. I believe the Bills are scoring over 30 points. And based on that, I've got to say Gabe Davis. Amari Cooper could get another 100 and a touchdown. Now, because I think that the Patriots are going to try to stuff the run in Nick Chubb, and I think there's going to be room for Cooper. But I think Gabe Davis has a good floor, but he could have ridiculous upside because I just don't think KC can match him because he's winning contested catches, and Allen's throwing the ball into zones and just winning. So to me, Cooper's a great play. Davis is a great play. If you have a gut feel, go with it. But again, give me the better offense here in this case because we've seen Cooper disappear for reasons that were unjustified in 2 games. All right, let's see here. Robert, you need DJ Moore or Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, overall, I don't like Russ's matchup against the Chargers. DJ Moore, now they got PJ Walker, who's been a train wreck when he's been at quarterback. And the 40-yard floor he had with Baker Mayfield, I don't know that it's there with PJ Walker. I don't trust PJ Walker. And so therefore I'm going to say Jerry Jeudy. Ethan, you've got the Jags or the Dallas D. It's a bad matchup for Dallas. I think Philly's going to run, and that's the one thing Dallas can't stop. I don't think they're going to find themselves in a lot of obvious passing situations. And the Jaguars already shut out the Colts, and the Colts have a really bad offensive line, and they'll stunt and they'll get pressure. And Matt Ryan's not been taking care of the football. I'm going to say the Jags here. All right, let's see what else we got here. PNLB, am I crazy to bench Herbert for Geno? No, you're not crazy at all. I mean, this could be a low-volume game. Patrick Surtain on Mike Williams, Keenan Allen out. Herbert's going to get some yardage. I don't know how many touchdowns, how high scoring the game is. Geno has been playing great. He has an easy matchup, and he has 2 great receivers. He's running the offense as it was intended to be run. So, so that's good there. And David, I'm answering all the instant questions I can, so I'm trying to give love that way. So sorry. Trying my best. I have gotten everybody's questions every week for what that's what I am out at the top of the hour today, though. I got to do another show. Uncle Santini, Dylan or Hunt. So they both have good floors here. In terms of game script, I think that Hunt is going to be in a run-heavy game with Nick Chubb. The Dillon game, I mean, that game probably goes run heavy too. I think those both games are lower scoring. I think Dillon's more likely to score a touchdown. Hunt is more likely to have a higher floor. I think the floors are pretty similar. So I'm going to say Dillon has a better chance to score. So I'm going to go with Dillon there. All right, let's see what else we got here. You're welcome, Christopher. Randy, all right, let's see what you got. Would I rather roster Malcolm Brown or Philip Lindsay? You know what? Philip Lindsay is going. I mean, obviously, Taylor's got to be close. He's been practicing. He's close. And I assume Hines will be back next week. Lindsay's a practice squad guy. He'll go back to the practice squad after they're healthy. Whereas Malcolm Brown, I know Kyron Williams probably comes in. Malcolm Brown, though, probably has a role as a grinder and a goal line back. I think of the two, even though Lindsay's a better player, Malcolm Brown has McVay's trust. So that would be it. And I would not start either over Rondale Moore. He had 8 targets last week. It's a phenomenal matchup. I think we like him this week. Giles, you're welcome. See if you have any other Insta questions here. Andres, Pollard or Rondale Moore? So Rondale Moore is a really good floor. They're getting him the ball. And Pollard, again, you need him to break a big play for him to kind of come through because he's not getting the volume. So I'm going to say Rondale Moore like 53 to 47%. It's very close. If you have a gut feel, go with it. All right. And then Johnny, you've got Juju be a lot. Well, Juju is getting 30 to 50 yards a game. He's not an upside guy. He's a floor guy, and that's about it. So just understand that. So it is shootout, but he isn't getting open. Juju is not getting any separation. He's getting targets 8 a game, so there's that. But I don't know how much upside there is right now. All right, let's see. AJ, you got Hurst and Geno looking for a receiver. Who do I trade for? Hurst and Geno looking for a receiver. Who do I trade for? You have I have no idea your league size. There's no way I could approach that question. I have no idea who you could target. I'm sorry. It all depends what team needs. It's such really, if you just give me like concrete options, I could tell you if it's good or not. All right, there we go here. And then Captain Rez, Kirk or Gabe Davis? Gabe Davis. He has at least Kirk's floor and he has exponentially more ceiling. Trade Geno. You could trade Geno. At some point, you would think if the schedule toughens up a little bit, it could be problematic. Ultimately, Geno's struggled in his career, so it is possible that doesn't work out. So it's something to consider there. I got to just set this up real quick. And we got to check for some inactives here real quick as well. All right, let's see what else we got. Jefferson, Diggs, or Tyreek. Well, that's a good problem to have. They're all wide receiver ones. Diggs has been shut down the last 2 times he played the Chiefs, 2 for 69 and 3 for 7. Tyreek is going to get volume from Skylar Thompson regardless of what happens. So I think we have to understand that. And Jefferson is Jefferson, right? I mean, they're going to blitz a lot, but they're bad against the pass. Give me Justin Jefferson here. He's the best player of the 3. Diggs is close, but give me the best player in this one. All right, Jose and Jordan, you're welcome. One receiver between the following: McKenzie, Romeo Doubs, or Higgins. If Higgins plays, which the inactives are coming out soon, you got to go Higgins. If he plays, I assume he's healthy. McKenzie's very game plan specific. If they face a slower defense, he tends to be involved more. I think Doubs is the replacement for Higgins, though, because he's seeing a lot of targets and he's using a traditional role that really works with his quarterback. All right, Delroy, Etn, Pollard, or Dobbins start 2. Wow, it's a tough one here. Etn is a tough matchup. His workload, he looked really great last week, but his workload is still split. Pollard, we need a big play from. Dobbins, we're seeing a solid enough work role. I'm going to tell you if you have a gut feeling, go with it. If it's my team, I'm going to sit Pollard because I don't know there's a big play against Philly, whereas Etn has shown some explosiveness in both the run and the pass where they could use him as a receiver. It's a really tough call. I would personally nervously sit Pollard, but because of Zeke probably dominating the workload, that's probably the way I would go with that. All right, let's see what some of the instant questions are. Green Bay or Dallas defense today? Oh, man, you probably Green Bay, even though they're playing terrible. Zach Wilson could make a big mistake. Dallas, I think that we're going to see a lot of running from Philly, so there may not be opportunities to make big plays. And King Love, Everett, Najee Harris, or Dillon in your flex. I think Dillon is the safest floor of the trio. And Harris right now does not look good. And now Jalen Warren's getting run. And Donald Parham was back. And so Gerald Everett lost a little bit of snap share. So I was a little nervous about that. All right, Botan Bartha. He's got Miles Sanders, Dobbins, or Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's been troubling since Zach Wilson came back, and I have to see those two have chemistry. Corey Davis is getting the most targets of the three receivers, and then it's Wilson and Elijah Moore are close. So right now I'm going to say, now Miles Sanders, you can run on Dallas, and I think that's going to be the game plan today. Dobbins is a very good play as well. It's between Sanders and Dobbins because I think Philly's going to go in with that mindset. I'm going to say Sanders 55 to 45%. If you have a gut feel, definitely go with that. Koala, thank you, Matt. Appreciate you very much. Very nice, Koala Bear. Appreciate you. Hey, guys, if you're on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. Would appreciate that greatly. If anybody needs free access to RotoWire 2 days, no credit card needed, go to rotowire.com/try. We'll get you all hooked up. Ames, you got Hurst and Gino looking to trade. I think you already said, I don't know. I have no idea what the league parameters are. Shakir or Slayton. So Slayton is going to be tough to call because Wanda Robinson's playing, and I know they play different positions, but if they're in two receiver sets, it might be Marcus Johnson and Slayton splitting steps and Wandale in. Slayton is just – but Shakir is risky too because we don't know now with Isaiah McKenzie back what his role is going to be. So it's tough because Shakir projects to be a really good NFL player, and he did really well last week. But we don't know what either of their roles are going to be. If it's me, I'm thinking, all right, incredible shootout probably between the Chiefs and the Bills, whereas the Giants could be in a low-volume game with Baltimore. So I'm going to say Shakir for that reason. Forrest, Hurts and Goddard, or Murray and Moore. I'm sorry, Hurts and Goddard. You mean, all right. I'd say Murray and Moore because I think ultimately the running game is going to go for Philly. They're going to have a hard time passing against Dallas. So I think we're Kyler Murray. I think they're going to go off against Seattle here. All right, see if we have any Insta questions here. Herbert or Gino, you're desperate. So this is PNLB on Insta. Herbert's got a really, really bad matchup, but we know at least we could trust him to get us 260 and a touchdown, right? He hasn't thrown a lot of touchdowns last few games. Gino's been playing great. He runs the offense. Arizona's terrible. They're not pressuring. When they do, they blitz, and the blitz isn't getting home, and those receivers are going to win. Herbert's like the second best quarterback in the league. But I'm starting Geno Smith here because I think that he's going to have a similar floor to Herbert. I think his ceiling is higher. All right, Kyle, you've got Melvin Gordon, Henderson, Jacoby Myers, or Pickens. So if Myers is the safest play of these all, he had 90-plus yards in a couple straight games. He's clearly an option for them in the middle of the field, even if it's Bailey's happy. Pickens is a really bad matchup. Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis at corner. The blitz is going to be there. But Pickens is your boom-bust guy because he's proving that he's an elite talent. Myers is your safe play. He's going to get you double-digit points. But Pickens could have a low floor here, but he also could go off. So that's how we're going to look at that. All right, let's see here. Insta questions. One more, and I'll flip back to YouTube and Twitter. Deon Jackson, DJ Moore, or Duvernay. So Deon Jackson, I'm thinking gets about 50 yards here. And DJ Moore, I can't trust PJ Walker. Moore was having like a 40-yard floor with Baker Mayfield in most games, but PJ Walker's been awful. It's like 2 touchdowns, 8 interceptions for his career. The only time he had a decent game was 2 years ago against the number 31 defense. And now they're playing the Rams. So Deon Jackson's your floor play. Duvernay, I think, though, is the guy you're looking at because Bateman's out. I think the Giants are going to do a lot of blitzing. There's going to be some big plays downfield. Duvernay has a really good chance to be part of that. So I think Jackson gets you a bit of a floor. Duvernay always has a super low floor, but I think he has ceiling. But I think he has enough floor in this to be your play of the 3. All right, Randy, what do you got? You got Ertz, Njoku, and Taysom. Taysom is always so tough to rank because we have no idea what the game plan for him will be. Look, after his game last week, there's no way he's surprising Cincinnati. Cincinnati saw the game. There's no way they're not accounting for Taysom Hill when he's on the field. My guess is, and they're a really well-coached defense. So to me, personally, I'm thinking maybe not a Taysom Hill game, but could he still get a big – he's crazy. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. So, I mean – I can never rank him responsibly because I have no idea. His role is so unstable. Ertz is a great play this week. High volume passing game. Seattle's horrible against tight ends. So I'm going Ertz and Njoku stable, getting like 7 targets a game. So I'm just going Ertz, Njoku, and then Taysom. But if you got to swing for the fence in your league, if you need a 25-point game and you're going to risk a 3, then I think Taysom wins both of those. Ertz is probably going to get you 12 to 15, and Njoku's going to get you 9 to 14. And I think that's how we're looking at that. All right, let's see. Let me see if I have other Insta questions here. All right, I keep getting that question about trading, but I have no league parameters. That trade question, send me the at Jim Coventry NFL on Twitter, and you give me a lot of detail on like what your league's like, because I have no idea what to help you with on that. Josh Alou, need 2. Higgins, Rondale, Valdes, Scantling, and Jay. If Higgins is active, you almost have to start him. He's practiced this week, so that's a positive thing. So, but if he's on the field, I think you got to play him. He's an elite player. Of the other ones, then I'm going to rank them this way. Rondale Moore has the best floor of them. Last week we saw 8 targets, 7 catches. And against Seattle, I think that floor continues. I think they're going to pass a lot in this game. Valdes Scantling is another place just beneath Rondale. This year they're using him in the intermediate area. He's not just that deep threat and bubble screen guy. So he's actually had like 63 plus yards in 2 straight games. So he's been good. And Zay Jones, with Marvin Jones out, he looks better. So I'm going to rank him this way. T. Higgins, Rondale Moore. I'm going to go MVS and then Zay Jones. That's how I'm going to rank them in this one. But I can't see a case where Zay Jones could do a little something this week. Oh, good, King. Higgins is starting. So, yeah, good. I got all these windows open with my lineups where I got to make sure I have them. And I got another show at top of the hour. So, let's see any other. Let me check any other inactives here. So, all right. Nothing much on the Browns side. Pat Freiermuth, we already knew was out. We already knew that Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines were out. We knew that Jacoby Myers is active and playing and starting and all that good stuff. Mac Jones is not playing. We knew that. Raheem Mostert is playing. Damian Harris finally responsibly was ruled out. And like you told me just now, Higgins is active. And if I didn't say Raheem Mostert, as expected, is active. All right, good there. Excellent. Thank you, King Love. All right, let's see what else we got here. I got 20 minutes here to see how much I can get through here. Randy, I don't know if I answered your question. Boone or Dubs at the flex? You know what? I love Boone. Love Boone. I got to go with Dubs. Dubs getting like 8 targets a game. So I've got to go with Dubs for that reason. He's being utilized. I still don't know for sure what Boone's role is. I think he could eventually overtake Melvin Gordon. Gordon's looking like an aging slow back right now. He's not the guy he was. And Boone, they picked him up in free agency last year. They love him, but he was behind Javonte and Gordon. So, but I'm going to say Dubs this week. Steve, Superflex, PPR need 1. Walker, Dalton, Ayuk, Rondale Moore, Deon Jackson. No. You got to ask him. That's your problem. PJ Walker, he's had 2 touchdowns and 8 picks over his career. He had 1 good game in 2020 against the number 31 Lions at 250 yards. They're playing the Rams here. He could get you negative points. I'm worried about him. Dalton has no receivers, but you know what? Marquez Callaway and Traquan Smith could do a little bit. Since he could take them lightly, since he should play with the lead, Ayuk just hasn't really gotten me any kind of a ceiling. Rondale Moore is interesting. Deon Jackson doesn't have a ceiling. I got to say Dalton. It's a quarterback. He's going to have some opportunities. They might use the tight ends. So let's look at that. All right, let's see what else we got. A couple insert questions here. Evan Ingram or Knox. Ingram was like 7 catches against Indy earlier in the year, and he had 10 targets last week. I'm going to go with Ingram for volume. Knox just has been blocking way too. He's not running enough routes for me. Caught up on Insta, which is good. All right. Ramsey. Yep. What's up, man? Deon Jackson, Melvin Gordon. I got to go with Jeff Wilson. He's got at least 74 yards in his last 4 games, and he's been over 100 total yards in 3 of those 4 games. So Jeff Wilson has a rock-solid role. He's been getting more chunk runs, and they're playing Atlanta, which is a good matchup. So I'm going to go that route. Kabroom asks, do I trust Higgins? I have to. Because of the level of his talent, if he is on the field, they could have decoyed him last week. He stood on the sidelines. If he was healthy enough to stay in uniform, if they wanted to decoy him, they could have put him on the field and had him draw a corner and just had him just jog through routes. They could have done that. They didn't. They benched him. But he practiced this week, and they have him out there today. This is a team, they were to Super Bowl last year, so they've got to be thinking big picture. If they're thinking big picture, you can't put Higgins out there if he can't play. So I'm trusting Higgins in my lineups. Is it possible he goes 0? Sure. Can he re-aggravate the ankle? But anybody can get hurt in the game. There's more risk. I'm starting Higgins without thinking because he is my wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 in my leagues, and I have to go with him. All right, Scott. Oh, Jose. Pickett or Hurts? I don't like the Dallas matchup for Hurts, but I don't like the Pickett matchup. Now, Pickett could get garbage time. He got garbage time last week, and Tampa's going to blitz. 2 great outside corners. So there's something to think about there. But Pickett needs garbage time. But if this game somehow stays close, he's in trouble. Hurts is going to have you a floor. He's either going to run for a lot. I don't think he's going to throw for a lot, but he could run for a couple touchdowns. To me, it's going to be Hurts every time because Hurts is he's Hurts. He's a top 5 fantasy quarterback, right? All right, Scott, good to see you, man. Melvin? Well, he's gonna get work. He's definitely gonna get work. He looks like a slow aging back, and Mike Boone looks like he's the guy that they picked up in free agency last year. Who's he played behind Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison in Minnesota. Then he's behind Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. The kid just needed a chance. I think he's a dynamic runner, but Gordon's gonna get you something. Unless he fumbles the ball, right? Which he put one on the ground. He got lucky for the whistle, or he hit the ground with it. But I think you're trusting him as a low-end running back too. And the Chargers haven't been great against run. They're not as bad as last year, but they're still easy to run on. All right, and then Josh, you've got a question on Insta. Judy or Lazard? I got to go Lazard here. Lazard's gotten it done 3 games. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's been he's either had yardage or a touchdown. I think it's 4 straight games. And Judy has just not been a good match with Russell Wilson. So I'm going to go with that. And, Sauce Gardner, I don't think it's going to be a travel situation. I think half of the time he'll be on the other side. So we're okay there. And got another question here from Tim. Do I think the Bucs will win and have the most rushing and receiving yards? They'll have the most receiving yards. I don't know how much they're going to run. Pittsburgh could tend to stop the run pretty well. I think they're just going to throw it about 45 times. And the running game has not been good for the Bucs. It's been running backs as receivers are doing well. Now, that said, Bucs are worse against the run than they used to be, but is Pittsburgh going to be in a position to run the ball if they fall behind? Maybe not. So, all right. Scott, do I feel good paying down at running back? 100% paying down at running back this week. That's the play in DFS, pay down at running back. Most people are going to have a Bills-Chiefs stack or a Cardinals-Seahawks stack. You want to be contrarian? Remember, Tampa Bay is facing a Pittsburgh defense. All 3 corners are out. Their free safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick's out. I'm going with Brady, Godwin, Evans, and then I'll put some pieces from the Pittsburgh side back in that. But you definitely pay down at running back this week. Let's see here. Judy or Lazard? I think I answered. I said Lazard on that one. Zeke or Eno Benjamin? So my analysis of that game tells me Eno has a good matchup, but I think Kyler has to get on track in this game, and the coaches need to jumpstart him. This is the jumpstart game before Hopkins gets back. Zeke has a good matchup. Philly is great against the pass, great passers, but they're not great against the run. Dallas knows this. Dallas knows they need Zeke to play in this game to keep them close. So Zeke has a better floor. And for that, I'm going to go with him over Eno Benjamin. If you have a gut feel on it, go with it because Eno Benjamin could go off here. If they decide to go hard with Benjamin, it's an easy matchup. Now, the run blocking is terrible in Arizona, but it's a great matchup. I'm going Zeke. Robert, Hurst or Ingram? So Hurst had 7 targets last week, but Higgins was out most of the game. It was 3 and 4 targets the previous 2 games. Week 1, Hurst had a lot of targets, or maybe it was week 2. Whichever game he had, it was a game when Higgins was out. And so there's almost like a correlation there. And his targets are lower. Ingram played this defense a few weeks ago, and he had 7 catches. He had 10 targets last week. I think Ingram is safer. All right, let me see what else I have here. And then I'm going to take one more Insta question, and then if anybody wants to come over on YouTube, got to meet me there because I got another show in 30 minutes on the Better Sport Network. Sutton, Mike Williams, DJ Moore, Jeff Wilson. I am going to go with Jeff Wilson for floor here because you have Sutton's always a good play. But I think that's going to be a difficult matchup against J.C. Jackson, who's going to see a lot of. Mike Williams got Patrick Surtain on him. DJ Moore has a horrible quarterback situation. Myers is less than 100%. Wilson's been 74-plus yards in 4 straight games, 100-plus combined yards in 3 of the last 4, and they're playing Atlanta. Insta, thanks for hanging with me. If you want to meet me over on YouTube, RotoWire, for the next 15 minutes, you can. All right. All right, let's get you set up here. All right, I have about 10 minutes, you guys here. So whoever, guys and gals, so whoever I'm answering, I will get you as much as I can. All right, Yanni, Wilson or Daniel Jones? That's a good question. Jones has been running, right? And I think against Baltimore, he's going to have to run. He gets Wanda Robin, who might help. Wilson's tough to play right now. And Brandon Staley coaches the defense he's facing. Brandon Staley's had his number. Wow, I'm going to say Daniel Jones. Juju or London. So Juju is getting like 8 targets, but he's not getting open. And he's putting up low digits. London's getting targets. Now, he'll see Charvarius Ward. I don't know if Ward's going to travel. I think London rates a slight edge. It's 55 to 45%. I think London has a better chance of scoring than Juju, and that's why I'm going to go that route. If you have a gut feel, go with it. Ethan. Wandale, Callaway, Boone, or Lindsay. I think Callaway's going to see some targets here. They're probably going to trail. Callaway's a bit athletic. He can go up and get the ball a bit, which really, really helps. So I think Callaway is a player I'm looking at here. And Wandale is going to be tough to know what his role is going to be after he hasn't played all year. I think he's a speculative play. I think he could have upside. I just haven't seen him play. And so I've got nothing to go on other than just kind of real 100% narrative. If you have a gut feel on him, you can trust that. Boone, I love, but he's splitting work with Gord. He probably still on the light end of that. Lindsay splitting with Deon Jackson. So I'm going to say Callaway slightly here. Okay. Shock Eyes. I hope I said it right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Flex spot. Wilson, JRs, and Junior. William. All right. Christian Kirk, Raheem Mostert. Man, Mostert has a tough matchup this week. Minnesota's been great against the run. If his knee is honestly limited, that's problematic because he might see a little less work. Kyle Pitts is active, by the way. Okay, and Zay Jones is active. So Mostert, he's been playing great. But if his knee is limited, that scares me. Jeff Wilson, 74-plus yards in 4 straight games, 100 yards combined in 3 of the last 4. Easy matchup. He's been getting chunks of yardage. Christian Kirk has just been down lately, and I don't know if the middle of the field is a place to attack Indy. I think the outside is a better place to attack them. I want to say Jeff Wilson because he's the safest of the group, and I don't know that Mostert's upside is greater than Wilson's here. Jackson, Mostert, or Henderson. Now, that one's going to be Mostert. I still think Malcolm Brown, believe it or not, is going to be part of this because if Akers had no explosiveness and he was just getting all the carries, Malcolm Brown is the same guy. A non-explosive Akers and Malcolm Brown are kind of the same. And I know that McVay does not like to expose Henderson to a lot of hits. So I'm going to say Mostert pretty easily here. Deon Jackson or A.J. Dillon. You know what? Dillon is a reliable floor. He hasn't been great. Matchup isn't great either. Jets are top 10 run D. But Deon Jackson split with Phillip Lindsay. And Jacksonville shut them out last time. And if Jacksonville gets out to a lead, Jackson might be game scripted out. We know Dillon, regardless of game script, he's playing. So, all right, Tracy, what's going on with Keenan? Yeah, I know. Hamstring injury, right? Week 1. He's an aging. See, that's the problem with an aging player, right? The aging players, it's a recovery from injury that's problematic. It's probably an injury, not, because the fact he'd done limited practices, probably when he was younger, he probably would have, healed up. But when you get near 30, yeah, it's the problem. So that's the problem, Tracy. Ross, you got Deon Jackson, Singletary, Walker the third, pick 2. I've got to sit Deon Jackson here. He's splitting with Lindsay. Singletary is getting a lot of work most weeks. It should be a very high volume game. Walker, he looks like he's the real deal, right? Second round draft pick. He's got a great matchup. I don't want to overthink this one. Deon Jackson to me is just, he's like a roster depth guy who's in a starting spot, but the run blocking has not been good in Indy. Jonathan Taylor hasn't been going, and I don't expect that to work for Deon Jackson. All right, SN, and I got about 5 minutes, and I've got to go to another show, everybody, so I'm going to answer what I can. What running back will outperform, Wilson or I'm going with Wilson because he's been safe, and I know they're going to use him. Benjamin, I don't know if they're going to go pass heavy here, and the run blocking is terrible. What run? And you say one, good, all right. Jose, Devontae, or T. Higgins. You know what? I always say if T. Higgins is active, I'm starting him because if he's good to go, Devontae Smith may see a lot of Trevon Diggs here. I know they're saying A.J. Brown, but Devontae Smith's an outside receiver. A.J. Brown may play a lot of slot. So based on that, I'm going with Higgins. Cheddar had Deontay or Alec Pierce. Deontay, I think, is a higher floor in this game. The Tampa corners are very physical outside corners, but Deontay is one that gets open quickly and underneath. And I think against the blitz, he's going to be heavily needed here. Alec Pierce has been 60 to 80 yards in 3 straight games, and I'm not afraid of the Jacksonville corners. I think Deontay is your safer floor play, but Pierce is one that could make a big play. So I think your boom bust play, if you need to risk floor for ceiling, then I think you're looking at Alec Pierce in that case. But Deontay's much safer, I believe. Wilson or Benjamin, I'm going Wilson. He's going to get touches. He's been very successful. Benjamin's a speculative play in a good situation. Sam Jam, Lindsay or Rashad White. Oh, White's got 8 touches in each of the last 2 games, 38 to 39% snap share. Probably Bucks get out to a big lead, and they probably play White heavily in the second half. That's going to move me on Rashad White here. Uncle Santini, Lazard, Dubs, Pickens, or ETN, pick one. All right, so I don't like Pickens' matchup with the outside corners, Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis, and a lot of blitzing. ETN should have a fair floor, but Indy's great against the run, so that worries me. Dubs and Lazard on the same team. Of those, I think Lazard is your floor play. He's going to probably get you a safe, balanced floor, half PPR, get 7-8 points. Dubs has upside because there could be big plays. So Lazard is your safe play. I think your boom bust play, if you're willing to risk floor for ceiling, is Dubs. All right. Erie, ETN, Dion, or Ron. I'm going to go Rondale Moore here. It's a great matchup. He had 8 targets last week. And then T. Higgins, Juju, or Rondell. Look, T. Higgins is healthy. I got to play him. I know he could crap out, but if they're playing him, I think he's got to be healthy. I got to go T. Ethan, you need ceiling, Trevor or Russ. Well, it's got to be Trevor because Trevor at least gets 2 touchdowns in a lot of games. I don't see a scenario against a Brandon Staley defense. Russ was figured out by Staley 2 years ago. I think that's problematic. So I think we're not going to go that route. John, Green Bay or the Pats, D. You know what? Cleveland's going to run the ball. They're not going to have a chance to turn it over much. They're not going to put their quarterback into any pass-heavy situations. I'm going to say Green Bay here because of Zach Wilson on the other side. SN, what running back will outperform, Wilson or Benjamin? We answered that one before. Wilson, Cowboys or Bengals defense. We're going with the Bengals here. Saints are now 3 receivers and Andy Dalton's at quarterback. Cowboys are not going to see a lot of passing. They're going to be run heavy. Ethan, is Kyron worth stashing? 100%. If you can stash him, I've stashed him in some of my leagues. Very great call there. He's going to be a part of it when he gets back in action. Dylan, Robinson, or Jackson? I'm going Dylan. Robinson didn't look great last week. I think ETN gets a little more. I think Dylan has a higher floor than Jackson. Ramsey, you're welcome, man. Oh, yeah, like button. Thank you. Start 2. Coleman. I don't think Coleman's going to play a lot today. Tyrion Davis-Price is healthy. Because of that, I'm going Kelly and Zay Jones. Tim Johnson, GM, non-PPR, Dylan or Waddle. Oh, man. Wow. Minnesota is better against the run than the pass. The Skylar Thompson's the quarterback. Waddle is your ceiling play. Dylan has a great floor. Waddle is your ceiling play. I think I'm going to go with Waddle for the ceiling because Waddle's going to get a minimum. All right, everybody. Thanks. Have a wonderful rest of your